Greetings, everybody. Here you go. It's Damon from Damon's List once again with another video. And today is going to be a list of any kind. And it's more of something I've touched upon beforehand. It's more of it's the equivalent of rebooking, but in terms of movie. And I know I basically did a video about what I would do if there was another Dark Knight or another Batman with Tim Burton and Michael Keaton. And when I meant another Dark Knight 4. But this time I want to fix a movie. Or at least what I believe it's fixing. Say what you want in comments below, respectfully, if you don't like it. I was thinking there, I've seen the movie Scream 7 this year. And FYI, this video is also based because I remember I have to shout out Jason Solomon, the Solomon Monster from Solomon Monster Sounds Off. Kind of gave me the idea there. It's a little bit of a muse. Uh, because he watched Scream 7 and he hated it. I liked it. I didn't love it. But the more we thought about it, my enjoyment decreased. Again, the acting's great. Neve Campbell's excellent there. Spoiler alert. Matthew Litter as Stu is awesome. Ethan Embry, good. The core four is good. The Courtney Cox, very good. The acting's not the problem at all. They all did their part. The reveal, though, kind of soured my experience in the movie more and more I thought about it. Because it's a movie that says basically about the nostalgia of the past. Basically, people have nostalgia, they want to do this. Pretty much a lot of us that grew up in the 90s, at least maybe not grew up in childhood, but at least teenagehood, adolescence was in the 90s. Sometimes there's some things we miss. Maybe sometimes honestly the sunny days felt sunnier and more healthier. They weren't too hot like nowadays in the summer. They were just hot enough. Or I don't know, things like that, or it feels simpler. But it was kind of making fun of nostalgia there, basically this, or maybe a lot of sequels have nostalgia bait and always go back to the past, only to reveal in this case two people who felt unrelated completely. And it felt like a whodunit movie, in which case they had pretty much a lot of ideas to do beforehand, but this wasn't available. This maybe was refused by the director, or this was refused by producers, and eventually like a fourth option, maybe the before the last option, they took. That's what it felt like. But there's other things that bothered me about the movie, about Scream 7. And one is one thing I mentioned in I think in a previous video. It might seem innocuous to people, but to me kind of bothered me. Sidney Prescott went from different profession to other profession without any mentions of one. For example, I remember in Scream 3, she was a psychological, I think, emergency phone counselor. Scream 3. From Scream 4, she was a successful writer. Scream 5, she was a supporting character and it wasn't mentioned what she was doing. Scream 6, she wasn't in it, but Scream 7, she's a coffee house owner. And nobody mentioned why. And to me, Scream 3 to 4, it's understandable why she didn't want to work by the phone anymore due to Ghostface, and I bet you she was trolled a lot with people pretending to be Ghostface and wasn't. So you can understand why. They didn't really need to explain that, but from successful writer to coffee place owner, why was it not explained? So that'd be the first thing I would want to fix. She couldn't be, to me, it's like Sydney would not be fired. She wouldn't be under the influence. She wouldn't have writer's block, because that'd be kind of a loophole. Or the publisher did not want to. I know Alison Brie was playing, I think, basically her manager there in the Scream 4. It wouldn't be because her publisher didn't want to book her books anymore. She'd be out of ideas. In my opinion, how they should have said why she stopped writing was because every time that she wrote a book, whether it's fictional, book, or otherwise, she had to relive the trauma that she was inflicted upon by Ghostface. And every time she had to write up, if it was a fictional book of an antagonist, she had to see it from the point of view of the antagonist. In this case, it's the point of view of Ghostface. She had to remember what Ghostface did. She had to put herself in the mind of Ghostface and see it from his point of view. From Ghostface's point of view, why would he do what he do? And that would really like basically not only relives the trauma, but try to see it from the other side, and it would screw up with her mind. So she had to imagine what it was like to be Ghostface. Why would somebody want to be Ghostface? And to combat that, immediately when she did this, she had to immediately turn back into Sidney Prescott, not the mother, not Sidney Prescott, the mother, not Sidney Prescott, the wife. She had to basically summon the person of Sidney Prescott, the Woodsboro survivor. And the problem with this is she became so intense, so intense, so basically on her guard all the time that would alienate her daughter and her husband. Now their husband, played by Joel McHale, ended up being a cop, so he could handle it. But it was his daughter couldn't, so it led to that personnel led to an estrangement from between the mother and the daughter, and that could explain why Sydney had to give up writing because she always had to get in that persona and she'll get in that mood, that area of her mind that she doesn't want to explore anymore, that area of the past that she doesn't want to relive anymore. You could have easily said that, so she owned up a coffee place, so that's like this. She didn't have to be phone all the time, and she didn't have to write basically relive that trauma. Could have easily said that or mentioned it. She could have done anything else. So to me, little things like that kind of bother me, but that this one is on me. I'll be honest with you. Two, Mark from Scream 3, played by Patrick Dempsey, aka uh, the doctor Derek Shepherd from Grey's Anatomy. He should have been in it, or at least mentioned why. Because apart from Randy's sister, he's the only supporting characters of the Scream movies to remain remain alive. He's like the only one beside Randy's sister. Apart from that, get Sydney, get Gail, get the core four. That's it. You should have mentioned it. You should have been part of it. Like you can't just escape and not be mentioned. I mean, something's gonna happen. Yes, it's also I think the boyfriend or one of the boyfriends of the sister, the Carpenter sisters in the Scream Six. That too. But if the person is survivor, they should be brought back or at least mentioned. I don't know. There should have been the script there. Three, and spoiler alert, so I guarantee you, if you don't want to listen, don't listen there. I kind of agree with the director that Stu should not have been the killer in this one. He shouldn't have been. All hints were pointed at him that it makes no sense for him to be in this case. But there should have been a connection between the killer and Stu Macker. That's my opinion. And I believe Ethan Embry, who played Marco, could have easily had more scenes in the movie because I like his acting as well. And it could have been revealed at the end that he's the brother of Stu. You could have mentioned that. And let's be honest, it would have been more ridiculous than Roman Bridger being the half brother of Sidney Prescott. Could have done that. And Jessica, I think it was Jessica's the other one. You could have easily done that. She could have been in charge. And hey, it would make sense. Hey, it's two Macker, basically two Macker brothers ended up happening to be psychic to somebody else. They would have ran in the family. But Jessica's whole reasoning was stupid. It felt like it was last minute from the script. In fact, the more I think about it, the more it's like the two-thirds of the movie feel like it was done by people who knew the franchise of Scream, and the last third was like somebody who was a rookie. Again, I still like the movie. It's okay, but it's okay when you had we had business we had basically designed to be better than just okay. And I mentioned Stu, but it should have been Stu's brother. Marco could have been eliminated, but it's at the end. Again, Marco could have been Marco Macker. Marco would have been his stage name as a basically a psychiatric hospital ward worker. And at the end, it's revealed that it's actually this the brother of Stu Macker. And again, the same ending happens to Ethan in this case. He gets disposed of by Jessica, and same thing like this. But there's a twist. After knowing this, the final scene of the movie should have been footsteps. You zoom in, and it's actually a scarred Stu Macker for real. So you find out he's actually still alive. And this time, the reason why I think would have had something is this time there's something in Stu Macker for him to return. Because this time it's not Sydney that wants revenge for everything that Stu did, like took away Tatum in the first one, took away Statham and I think other friends there. No, This time, Sydney took away Stu's brother. So this time it's like they both collide, and it could basically be this. Like she took something from him this time around. And you set up for Scream 8. So I don't know. You could have easily done that, like connection that. And four, this is maybe not superficial, but Scream 5, they did the shock death of Dewey. Scream 2, they had the shock death of Randy Meeks. The first Scream, of course, the death of Casey, played by Drew Barrymore, and Tatum, played by Rose McGowan. Scream 5 of the death of Dewey, and I think his former deputy assistant. Scream 4 nearly had Kirby dead. Oh, by the way, Kirby could have came back too in 8-1. And a 7-1 or 8-1. I'm not sure in the fourth one. And 6-1, Gail nearly got killed. I'm thinking about Scream 7. Nothing really of importance happened. Nobody of the main core or the core characters were killed or nearly killed this time around. You know? Nothing. Nobody. The core four wasn't. Well, the two twins weren't. Sydney was in danger. Gail was in danger. Scream 7, 6. She wasn't in here. Nobody. Everybody would die were people introduced in the movie. There was no real stake at it. So it makes the movie okay, but very skippable, which wasn't the case for any of the other Scream movies. Oh yeah, Connor Wary was killed in Scream 7. So again, Scream 1, I said Casey, and Casey was killed. Uh, Tatum was killed. Second one, Randy was killed. Third one, Connor was killed. Fourth one, I'm trying to think, we could say Jill because she's part of the family of Sydney. And then, and fifth one, Dewey and his assistant. Sixth one, uh, Gail nearly got attacked and you think she's gonna get killed, but she's not. 7-1, nothing. Nothing of the like. And we came with all of these, all of the AI version of the previous killers coming in, it felt like it was, if it's not the end of the series, it felt like near the end. And nothing. Nothing. Like nobody. Like I felt at this point, I'm sorry, but if anything, it should have been the brother of the two twins. He should have gotten his hand there because I remember the interview from the director of the movie at Scream 7 saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't want Stu to come back 'cause it's not realistic." But I'm thinking to myself, yeah, because it's too so realistic for the male brother in Scream 6 to get, I don't know, 12, 13 knife wounds and still survive. That was very realistic. You know, you could have easily done this, and it's like Scream is realistic to a certain point. And they mentioned that basically that the only way that Ghostface can get rid of is if somebody, if they receive, they receive, if they're getting taken care of in the head. Okay? And it's like, it happened to basically two killers in this movie. It happened to the family of killers in 6-1. It happened to two killers in Scream 5. It happened to Scream 4. Well, of the main killer, that is. It happened to Roman Bridger. It happened to the two killers of Scream 2. It only happened to one killer in Billy Loomis in the first one. So that leaves two. Stu could have easily been the exception, you know? So yeah, it's not like it would have been so unrealistic comes back. You just didn't have to make him the killer. Because I think it would have kind of been rushed. But that's the thing. You could have easily done this. So I would have had Stu not being the killer, but associated with killers. I would have basically the profession of Sydney. Basically, you explain why she changed professions, why she doesn't want to be a writer anymore. Because you give a moment for Neve Campbell to show her acting, more of her acting skills, which are very good and very underrated, and basically show her basically a reason why she doesn't want to write. Why Sidney Prescott doesn't want to write anymore. She doesn't want to put pen to paper anymore because of what it inflicts on her. When people ask of her what to write a book or whatever, what they actually demand from her. That's a great scene in its on of itself. Also, something happening. A main character should have kicked the bucket in that movie. One of the two twins. You could have basically out of nowhere had the female twin as well. She's a female Randy. Why not? Like this. Those are, and like I said, the connection to the villain. Like there's no, it's not, this franchise not too realistic, in which case Stu Maker actually making it will be out of nowhere. Like I'm not saying make Stu Maker a robot. That would be ridiculous. But if he survives, but he's scarred, you could have easily done that. Or you could have actually have it scarred, and for a minute, surprisingly, like memory loss and actually living a normal life. And you have basically the ending of that movie. Like I said, he's just walking around, but at the end of Scream 8, he's not a killer. He's just walking around. And at the end of Scream 7, he's not a killer, he's just walking around. But Scream 8, he discover basically he starts to regain more of his memories. And even then, he doesn't want to go back to his life. He still remembers that he's have a life to go back to. And just like when he knows about his brother's death, this is when he snaps. And he doesn't become a psychic anymore. He's actually the leader. And you can have Scream 8 from the shadows. Stumacher just actually creates his own army of ghost faces. How about that? And you have one reveal at the beginning of the movie. You have this, you have red herrings, all of this. And he's not basically acting alone. This time he's sending them over and over again. And he's making sure that he doesn't just send one at a time. He sends more than one. You actually have, rather than two, or in this case, it happened to be two or three. You have an army. Like I said, you have 6, 7. Anyway, that's my opinion about Scream Layers. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. See you guys later. Bye.